Women can't resist the man who knows how to flip the dynamic without playing games, acting desperate, or chasing for validation. And here's the part most men miss. Attraction in women is less about what you say and more about the psychological impact you create just by the way you carry yourself. A woman can admire your looks, enjoy your personality, and appreciate your kindness. But what actually pulls her in, deeply, is something far more subtle. It's the way you make her feel around you. And most men never learn how powerful that is. Before we even get into the topic, let me say this clearly. Women respond to a man based on the emotional experience he creates. Not the car he drives, not the money he flashes, not the lines he uses. The emotional experience. That is the real trigger. That is the real advantage most guys overlook. So today, we're breaking down the psychological behavior women cannot resist, the mindset shift that gives you quiet pull, and the actions that make a woman feel drawn to you without you begging for her attention. If you've ever wondered why some men barely try, yet women naturally lean in, it's not because they're special. It's because they understand a few simple principles that most men never learned. And yes, some of what we're going to talk about may challenge what you've been taught. It might even irritate you a little. But that's good. Growth doesn't happen by hearing what feels comfortable. It comes from hearing what's true. Now, before we go deeper, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being here. If you're a man who wants to understand female psychology in a real, simple, and honest way, without the fluff, without the manipulation, just the truth, then you're in the right place. Everything we're about to break down is designed to help you understand how women think, what they respond to, and how you can show up as the kind of man who naturally pulls feminine energy toward him. All right, let's get into it. 1. The power of emotional control. One of the strongest psychological forces that pulls a woman toward a man is emotional control. Not control over her, but control over yourself. Women pay close attention to a man's emotional stability because it tells them everything they need to know about his strength, his mindset, and his ability to handle life. When a man can stay calm, steady, and grounded instead of reacting or getting thrown off by small things, he becomes naturally attractive in a way that doesn't require effort or performance. Think about how most men respond when they feel pressure, uncertainty, or emotional tension around a woman. Many start overthinking. They start proving themselves. They start chasing. Some get jealous quickly. Others get insecure. And some try too hard to be impressive. What they don't realize is that all of this reveals emotional instability, and women feel it immediately. It makes them step back, pull away, or lose respect without even thinking about it. Now imagine a situation. A woman acts distant for a day. Most men panic. They question themselves, start messaging too much, or try to fix something that was never broken. But a man with emotional control doesn't do that. He doesn't chase confusion. He doesn't jump to conclusions. He doesn't let anxiety make decisions for him. Instead, he stays calm, observes the situation, and continues with his life. He gives her space without making a big deal out of it. He waits for clarity instead of creating chaos. That behavior alone creates a powerful psychological response in a woman. She feels safe around him because he doesn't crumble. She feels drawn to him because he's not predictable in a weak way. She feels respect because he's not desperate for reassurance. Most importantly, she feels something rare, a man who is centered. When a woman sees that a man doesn't get emotionally shaken by her moods, by minor conflicts, or by uncertainty, she naturally leans in. It's instinctive. Emotional control also means not letting your emotions run ahead of reality. Many men convince themselves of problems that don't exist. They react to fears, not facts. A man who stays grounded waits for truth before reacting. That makes him powerful. That makes him attractive. and that makes him unforgettable. Women don't resist this type of man because he gives them something they crave without saying a word: security. Not financial security, but emotional security. The kind that comes from knowing he won't fall apart just because something feels uncomfortable. 2. Why women trust the man who stands his ground. Women naturally trust and feel drawn to a man who stands his ground. This does not mean being stubborn, aggressive, or difficult. It means being steady in your decisions, firm in your values, and confident in what you believe. When a man knows who he is and refuses to bend just to please someone, a woman feels a level of respect that cannot be faked. Most men lose attraction without knowing it because they fold too quickly. They change their opinions to avoid conflict. They apologize for things they did not do. They accept behavior that disrespects them. They act like everything is fine, even when it is not. This is where many men fall. When you give up your ground to keep the peace, you lose the very strength that creates attraction in the first place. A woman does not want a man who agrees with everything. She wants a man who is not afraid to say no when something crosses a boundary. She wants a man who can communicate clearly, without fear. She wants a man who can stand on his own feet and not collapse just because someone disagrees with him. When a man holds his position calmly and respectfully, a woman feels safe. She knows he will not disappear when things get tough. She knows he is capable of leading himself and any situation he is in. Standing your ground also means being consistent. Women notice when a man says one thing and does another. They notice when he pretends to be confident but acts insecure. They notice when he claims to have standards but abandons them when he likes someone. Consistency builds trust. Inconsistency destroys it fast. Another reason this trait is powerful is that it shows emotional maturity. A man who stands his ground is not seeking approval. He does not need to impress. He does not rely on constant reassurance. He is rooted in who he is. Women feel this, and it creates a deep sense of respect. They may challenge him at times, but that challenge is simply a way of checking if his strength is real. 3. The quiet confidence women feel instantly. Quiet confidence is one of the strongest forces in male attraction because it speaks louder than anything you could ever say. Women feel it before they understand it. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it is not the type of confidence that needs attention or validation. It is the calm certainty a man carries within himself, and it creates a psychological pull that is almost impossible for a woman to ignore. Quiet confidence comes from knowing your value without announcing it. It comes from moving through life with direction. It is the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you carry yourself, and the way you respond to pressure. Women can sense when a man is centered, and they can sense when he is pretending. This is why quiet confidence is so attractive. It is real. It cannot be faked for long. Many men think confidence is about being bold or dominant. But the confidence women respond to most is subtle. It is a man who does not chase attention, yet still gets noticed. It is a man who can speak calmly, even when others are emotional. It is a man who does not brag because he does not need to. He knows who he is, and that alone speaks for him. This kind of confidence also shows a woman that you are not easily shaken. Life happens. People disappoint you. Situations get messy. But a man with quiet confidence stays steady through all of it. He does not crumble when things go wrong. He does not panic when something feels uncertain. He does not rush decisions out of fear. This stability creates a strong sense of trust and attraction because women associate calmness with emotional safety. Another important part of quiet confidence is self-respect. A man who respects himself naturally attracts respect from others. He has standards for how he lives, who he allows into his life, and how he lets people treat him. Women notice when a man treats himself well. They notice when he avoids chaotic behavior. They notice when he chooses growth over comfort. 4. How mystery creates. Natural attraction. Mystery is not about playing games or hiding who you are. It is about having depth, having a private world, and not putting everything on the table at once. Women are naturally drawn to a man who is not easy to figure out, not because he is confusing, but because he has layers. A mysterious man has a life that does not revolve around trying to impress anyone, and this creates a strong psychological pull. One of the biggest mistakes men make today is being too available emotionally, mentally, and even verbally. They overshare too fast. They try to force closeness. They reveal every thought and intention before a woman has had time to feel anything. But when a man reveals everything instantly, the excitement disappears. Attraction grows when there is something to uncover, something to learn, something to understand slowly. Mystery does not mean shutting down. It means giving a woman space to discover you naturally. Instead of explaining your whole life in one conversation, you allow her curiosity to build. Instead of telling her every emotion you feel, you show stability and let your actions speak. Instead of making your intentions too obvious, you let things unfold at a pace that feels natural. Women pay attention to the energy a man carries. When you are mysterious, you send a message that you have a full and meaningful life outside of her. You have goals, responsibilities, hobbies, and interests that existed before she came along and will exist even if she leaves. This kind of independence creates an aura that is highly attractive because it shows you are whole on your own. Another part of mystery is emotional discipline. A man who does not show every reaction, every insecurity, or every fear instantly becomes more interesting. Not because he is hiding weakness, but because he does not hand over his entire emotional world to someone who has not earned it. Women respect this. They feel drawn to it. They see it as maturity. Mystery also creates a sense of value. When you are not constantly available, when you do not answer instantly every time, when you take your time to respond thoughtfully instead of emotionally, you show that your attention is meaningful. You show that your time is valuable. And value creates attraction. Women also enjoy the process of learning a man's mind. When you have depth, she feels engaged. When you have your own direction, she feels inspired. When you keep certain things for yourself until the right moment, she feels the bond growing naturally. Mystery is simply this. You are open enough to connect, but not empty enough to be predictable. You share, but not everything. You are warm, but not clingy. You are present, but not dependent. 5. The effect of being a man. With standards, a man who lives by his standards is magnetic. Women are wired to notice when a man has limits, expectations, and principles, and they are naturally drawn to him because it signals strength and self-respect. Standards are not about arrogance or controlling behavior. They are about clearly understanding what you will accept in life and relationships and what you will not. Think about a situation. A man goes on a date, and the woman tries to push boundaries, maybe asking for something unreasonable, being late, or acting disrespectfully. A man with no standards might let it slide, thinking it's easier to keep her happy or avoid conflict. But the man with standards handles it differently. He calmly communicates what is acceptable. He does not bend simply to please her or avoid discomfort. He respects himself enough to hold the line without drama or aggression. This behavior has a profound effect on a woman. When a man enforces his standards, it immediately creates respect. A woman sees that he values himself enough to not accept less than what aligns with his principles. She notices his self-assurance. She feels the difference between someone who bends to every situation and someone who knows what he wants and will not compromise on his worth. That sense of clarity and strength is irresistible. Standards also create attraction because they naturally filter out women who are not compatible. You are not trying to chase everyone or keep everyone around. Instead, you create a high-value environment where the women who are drawn to you are those who appreciate your boundaries, your consistency, and your integrity. This makes the dynamic cleaner, more respectful, and far more attractive. Another important effect of standards is confidence. A man with clear principles does not need constant validation. He does not seek approval to feel secure. He moves through life with certainty, and that certainty is felt immediately by women. It is compelling because it signals maturity, stability, and reliability, qualities that women respond to instinctively. Having standards also affects the way you communicate. You do not apologize for your desires, your limits, or your choices. You communicate them with calm assertiveness, which naturally positions you as a man who leads himself and expects respect. This is the kind of masculine energy women can feel from a distance, and it often creates a subconscious pull that words alone cannot generate. 6. Why independence makes you irresistible. Independence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have, and it goes far beyond financial or professional success. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their own life, their own purpose, and their own happiness. A man who is truly independent is not reliant on anyone else for validation, attention, or fulfillment, and that freedom creates an almost magnetic pull. When a man is independent, he does not need constant reassurance. He does not overreact when a woman is distant or when communication slows down. He has his own passions, goals, and daily routines that make him fulfilled even without her presence. This makes him mysterious and intriguing because a woman senses that he is not dependent on her approval or affection. She feels that his life is full and meaningful, and that naturally sparks curiosity and attraction. Independence also allows a man to set healthy boundaries. He can say no when necessary, maintain his standards, and not sacrifice his principles to keep a woman around. This behavior communicates that he respects himself, and women instinctively respond to that kind of self-respect. A man who is independent does not beg for attention or approval, and that refusal to chase creates a subtle tension that women find irresistible. Another aspect of independence is emotional self-sufficiency. A man who can handle his emotions, process challenges, and think clearly without relying on someone else demonstrates strength. Women pick up on this immediately because it signals that he can handle life's difficulties without collapsing or creating unnecessary drama. Emotional stability is incredibly attractive because it makes her feel safe and respected without him having to say a word. Independence also gives a man freedom to pursue his life fully, which in turn makes him more interesting. A man with hobbies, goals, and passions becomes magnetic because his life is dynamic and engaging. Women want to be around men who live with purpose, not men who exist solely to be available. That sense of autonomy communicates that his attention is valuable and that she needs to earn it rather than take it for granted. 7. The kind of masculinity women. Crave women are instinctively drawn to a certain type of masculinity. Not the aggressive, overbearing kind, and not the fake, performative type that tries too hard to impress. They crave authentic masculinity, a man who is strong, decisive, grounded, and fully in charge of himself. This is not just physical strength or dominance, it's psychological and emotional strength. It's a type of energy that communicates stability, confidence, and reliability, and it is incredibly attractive on a subconscious level. Many men today confuse masculinity with being loud, controlling, or overly assertive. They think that being a man means always having to dominate every situation or prove themselves constantly. The truth is the opposite. Real masculinity is quiet, self-assured, and consistent. It shows up in the way you handle challenges, treat people, and carry yourself in everyday life. It's the energy that signals, without words, that you are capable of leading your own life and making decisions that align with your values. Part of this authentic masculinity is taking responsibility. A masculine man owns his choices, his successes, and his failures. He doesn't blame others or external circumstances for his situation. This responsibility is magnetic because women sense that he will also take responsibility in relationships, for emotional balance, for protecting boundaries, and for building a shared life. Women feel safe and drawn to men who do not shirk accountability. Another element is decisiveness. A man who can make choices, stick to them, and act with clarity is instantly more attractive. Indecision signals weakness and creates uncertainty, which lowers attraction. Women are drawn to men who act with purpose because it signals control, strength, and direction. Decisiveness does not mean rushing or being reckless. It means knowing your priorities and following through with confidence. Physical presence is part of it, but it is secondary to mental and emotional presence. Women notice how a man carries himself, his posture, his tone, his energy. They pick up on subtle cues that reveal inner strength. When a man moves through life with grounded confidence, respect for himself and others, and a calm energy, it creates a psychological pull that is hard to resist. Constructive criticism for men here is simple. Too many men lose attraction because they try to be what they think women want, rather than embodying the strength they already have inside. Stop chasing validation. Stop overthinking her reactions. Stop trying to impress. Focus on becoming the man you already can be, grounded, responsible, confident, and decisive. This is the type of masculinity women instinctively crave and cannot resist. Here's the truth that most men don't want to hear. Women are rarely attracted to what you say or what you do. They are drawn to who you are, the energy you carry, and the psychological impact you create. A man who masters emotional control, stands his ground, carries quiet confidence, cultivates mystery, lives by his standards, embraces independence, and embodies authentic masculinity becomes irresistible. Not because he tries, but because he is naturally magnetic. It might sound harsh, but too many men waste time chasing attention, seeking approval, or bending over backward to please women. That behavior kills attraction faster than anything else. Women feel it instinctively and step back without thinking. On the other hand, a man who operates from his own center, who lives life on his terms, and who projects stability and self-respect makes a woman curious, engaged, and drawn to him. Now, it's your turn to reflect. Are you being the man who creates attraction effortlessly, or are you giving your power away through insecurity, neediness, or inconsistency? Small shifts in mindset and behavior can create massive changes in the way women respond to you. I want to hear from you. Share your experiences in the comments. Tell me what has worked, what hasn't, and what surprised you the most. I read every comment, and I will engage with you, because understanding this is not just theory, it's real-life practice. Remember, attraction is subtle, psychological, and powerful. Master these principles, and women won't just notice you, they won't be able to resist you. The question is, are you ready to become that man?